Hello students. So continuing our discussion on vector analysis, next topic to discuss is vector fields. Here we will talking here we will be talking about flux, divergence and Laplace theorem. So vector fields are represented using flux lines. You can see examples here. At each point in space, a vector is assigned. For example, you can see in the first example, a vector field is given by a constant vector, a vector having constant magnitude in the x direction. So at each point, you take any point, then the magnitude is k and direction is kx. In another example, a vector field is defined, that is emanating in the outward direction, and it is inversely proportional to the distance. That is why you can see the magnitude of the arrow is decreasing. In this way, we do represent the vector fields. In third example, let us take any point. At this point the value of y will be 0 or x will be of some value. Then you can see, since y will be 0, then the x component will go 0, then g will point in the y direction. That is why you can see at this point the direction is y. Similarly, we will have other directions as well. So we can say that for any vector field, in vector field is a function of space coordinates in which each point a vector is assigned at each point in case of vector fields. And also, since these are flux line or stream lines, for example, velocity vector or flow of liquid, these are common examples. Then you can say magnetic field, the curl of magnetic field. Then suppose at any point suppose 5 magnetic field lines are present, and at some other point there are 4 magnetic field lines present. Then at this point the density of the field is more than at this point, hence the magnitude of the vector field will be more here. The number of flux lines that pass through a unit surface normal to a vector is a measure of the magnitude of the vector. That means more number of flux lines, then the magnitude of the vector at that point will be more. This is how we represent the vector fields in terms of flux lines or streamlines. Let us see the concept of flux. So flux is basically, let us take any volume, any arbitrary volume, who is bounded by the surface S, and let's say volume is V. Then flux means net outward total number of flux line coming out of the surface of any considered volume. That is simply the concept of flux. You can write here influx as total number of field lines passing through a given surface. In this case, closed surface, you can write here. Now, we have considered here three cases. In first case, you can see four flux lines of this vector are entering through this volume, and it is simply passing out without any kind of disturbance, which indicates that no source is present inside this surface. That means the number of flux lines that got in is the number of flux lines that are getting out of this closed surface, which indicates no source is present inside this volume that will add up to these flux lines. But in the second case, if you see, suppose a source is present that is also contributing field lines, then what will happen? The incoming vector field lines will diverge at this point, such that now if you see, number of lines that are entering into this volume is 4. More number of field lines are coming out of this considered volume. That means the net outward flux in that case will be 0, because the flux out is greater than the flux in, and this will indicate the presence of source inside the volume. Similar to the case, if a sink is present, then some of the field lines will end up here and some will diverge away outside. This will also indicate the presence of a sink or negative source. In this case, the net flux through this volume will be less than 0, because the number of field lines that are emerging out of this volume is less than the number of field lines getting into this volume. So finally, we can say, as written in note point, the presence of source or sink indicates that the field lines diverge. If there will be some source or a sink is present inside the volume, then definitely the field lines will diverge. We can think about an example. Suppose if any electric field is there, then suppose any positive charge is placed here, then field lines will definitely diverge from this point. Hence we can say this divergence is indicated by the presence of source or sink. Moving on, and we can say the measure of about how much have been the vector field lines diverged in the presence of source at any point is given by scalar quantity which is known as the divergence of vector field, and it is written mathematically as del dot f. Del is, as you know, is the del operator. Of course, this is a scalar quantity because we are taking the dot product. Now, divergence indicates the presence of source or sink at any point. Hence, we can say divergence is also a point function. Since this is a scalar quantity, this is a scalar point function. Let us derive it mathematically. Let us say we have a vector field that is resolved in three directions. So in x direction the component is fx, in y direction this is fy, and the component of the vector field in the z direction is fz. Let us take an infinitesimal volume, very small volume at any point P. This volume is very, very small. Since divergence is a point function, we are considering a very small volume at any point P, let's say, whose coordinates are x, y, z. So let us try to find out the net flux through the volume. And if we observe divergence in the field lines, then mathematically we can describe it with the help of divergence of vector field F at the point P. So net flux through this volume will be given by, let's calculate the flux passing through the surface of this volume. So it has got 6 faces. Then we have got, let's say this, let us consider first at the face that is towards the x direction. So the total flux passing through this face will be the component of the vector field along x direction multiplied by the area. Then the area will be, this is the change in the y direction, del y, and in the z direction it is del x, del z. So it will be fx into del y into del z. Considering another face just opposite, then its direction will be in the negative x direction, and its area will be same, del y into del z, but the value of the component is at the point x minus del x. And since the direction of the vector is in this direction, but the unit normal direction to the area is in the minus ax direction, that is why minus sign here. So net flux passing in the x direction is given by this quantity. Similarly, we can follow the same procedure for y in that direction. In this direction, the component is y. If we take this phase at first, its coordinate is y plus del y. That is why y plus del y will be the magnitude of the vector field, and its area is del z and del x. This direction. And now if we consider the just opposite direction, its outward normal will be in the minus ay direction, and it is situated at the point y. Hence this will be the total flux in the y direction. And similarly, we can say the same for z direction. The area is dx, del x and del y. Total area, and this is the sz direction. And similarly, for this area, the direction of the outward normal will be minus az, hence minus sign here. And this area is situated at point z. Similarly, this area is situated at point z plus del z. Hence the total flux crossing in the z direction. And also the total volume is del x, del y and del z. Now dividing this whole term by del x, del y, del z, multiplying and dividing, you obtain a partial differentiation taking limit del x, del y, del z as 0. This is nothing but del dot f is it taking dot with fx, fy and fz. We can also say that the net divergence through that volume will be simply the divergence times the volume of the considered volume taking the limit del x, del y, del z as 0. And this term is known as the divergence of f. At that point, this is the point function. Once again, and since divergence is defined for any point, we can say the divergence can be defined as the net outward flux. That's all we have calculated here, the net outward flux per unit volume. If we look at the formula here, net outward flux per unit volume as the volume over the point tends to 0. Then at any point, what is the divergence? Because at that point there may be the presence of any source or sink. If some source or sink is present here, then the incoming vector will get diverged. Two flux lines cannot cross each other. It's right here. So some source is present here, then flux lines. The source will also contribute to the flux lines. That means the magnitude of the field, vector field at this point will be different because the density of flux lines is more here. Flux line is more dense due to the presence of source, and it can be less dense because of the presence of sink. So divergence indicates the presence of source or sink. If you want to define it in another way, and also it is a point function. So we can generalize the formula for divergence the same way as we did in case of gradient of the scalar field. We can generalize this for cylindrical as well as spherical coordinates. For example, del dot f in cylindrical system, we have h1 h2 h3, h1 h2 h3 for cylindrical 1 rho 1. That means we can write 1 upon rho and then d upon d, rho e1 is rho e1 into e3 rho 5z, and then fx h2 h3 h2 into h3, which is rho times of 1. This is a scalar quantity. Moving on, d upon d, dou upon dou 5, and this will be f5, and h1 h3 is 1 only, simply f5, and then let me write here f1, this is f2, and dou upon dou z, f3 multiplied by h1 into h2, f3 multiplied by rho. And for a spherical, the del dot f will be h1 h2 h3 1 by 1 r sin theta, will be r square sin theta it will be d upon d r f1, then h2 h3 r square sin theta plus dou upon dou theta f2 h1 h3 r sin theta and then finally dou upon dou phi f3 multiplied by r. Hence we can represent divergence in cylindrical and spherical coordinates. It is very easy to remember. Once you know the value of h1, h2, h3 and e1, e2, e3, then the formula is simply 1 upon h1, h2, h3. And then if f1 is there, then we have to take one, second and third h values. Similarly, if this is 2, then this is 1 and 3, and this is 3, so this is 2, let me correct it, 2 and 1. Now moving on. Now we derived the concept of divergence for a point xyz, considering a very infinitesimal volume at that point. Now think about a very bigger volume, macroscopic. Now this macroscopic volume is a sum of all these small volumes. There are so many points, infinite number of points are there. So think about all these points make up this bigger volume. All the microscopic volumes add up to make up a bigger volume. See this point, so many adjoining incremental volumes make up a bigger volume V, and it is enclosed by a surface S. Let us call this as S. This volume V enclosed by the surface S, and let's say at any point the outward normal to the surface is given by the n, quantity n, and of course the direction of n unit vector will vary from point to point. At different point it will have different direction, so it is also, the unit normal is dependent on the point. Now there are two types of volume here. One, inside there are so many points here, and corresponding to that there will be so many small volumes will be there. And then there are those volumes that are present at the boundary. These volumes that share the boundary. One of the faces of these volumes are actually making up the surface S. So there are internal volume and the boundary volumes, and all these infinitesimal volumes make up this bigger volume V. Then the second point says that each interior common surface between incremental volumes has the flux leaving one volume and entering other volume, so that the net flux contribution is 0 to all other internal volumes. Let's see here. Let's say suppose a source is present here. What will happen? This is one volume, let's say V1, and there is another volume as well adjoining V2, similarly V3, V4, V5, and they have adjoining common surfaces. For V4 and V1, this is the common surface. Similarly for V3 and V1, this is the common surface, and so for V5 and V1, this surface is common. Now once again, for V1, at this surface the outward normal will be in this direction. Let me take another. But for V2, for its surface, the outward normal will be in this direction. Then let's say for any vector f, if you take the dot that says area is A and this direction is the n direction, let's say n internal, then we will take dot product n internal times of the magnitude of the area. For in case of V1, flux in case of V1, then flux in case of V2 will be same f dot, but now the direction will be opposite, minus ni into ds. And if you add both of them, the resultant will be 0. Similar will be the case for this surface, for this surface, and for all other adjoining surfaces. So we can say for all internal volumes, the net flux contribution will be 0. But the case will be different for those volumes which are there at the surface. Because as you can see here, this face of the volume, incremental volume, is forming the surface. It's a part of the surface S. So there will be net flux outward at these faces. Similarly, there will be so many faces here. Some face will be here, one will be here. Infinite number of points are there, hence we can think about infinite number of volumes whose faces, one face forms the surface, part of the surface S. Then there will be net flux outside. Flux cancellation only takes place for the internal volumes. For those volumes that bound the outer surface have non-zero flux contribution. Flux will be non-zero. There will be definitely a non-zero value of flux. Since there is a non-zero value of flux, coming back in this case, since there is a non-zero volume of flux, then that indicates the presence of source. Then we can say that the net flux that is coming out of this surface will be total flux contributions of the individual volumes, all the volumes ordered together. Now we had calculated the flux through the infinitesimal volume will be equal to the divergence of the vector field at that point multiplied by the differential volume. Now since there are so many infinite number of volumes are there, we will add up flux contributions to all the volumes. We will add up the flux contributions of all the volumes, which can be represented by this summation. Now see, they are internal volumes whose flux contribution will be 0 as we have discussed, and the volumes that are present at the surface, that will be their flux contribution will be non-zero. Then overall taking both of these summations and taking a limit del v tends to 0, we can replace summation with the integration. And of course, total flux through the surface, closed surface, since the surface is closed, that is why a contour is here. Then the net outward flux through the surface, which is given by this quantity, equals to the divergence at all point inside this volume. There are so many infinite number of points are there. Then at each point there will be certain divergence. Divergence indicates the presence of charge. There may or may not be presence of any source or charge. So net outward flux will be individual divergence. We have already discussed, if the flux is non-zero, that means there is presence of source or sink. Hence we can say the net outward flux will depend on the total divergence inside the volume, and that divergence indicates the presence of source or sink. We can also say source, if no source is present inside this, then this must be 0, because if no source, that means there is no divergence. And this is all about divergence theorem. We can define it mathematically as well. The divergence theorem states that the volume integral of the divergence of vector field equals the total outward flux of the vector field through the surface that bounds the volume. Same thing, total outward flux phi, it will be non-zero only if the divergence is non-zero. That means there must be some divergence, and divergence, let me go, and divergence indicates presence of source or sink. This is all about divergence theorem. Let's take an example. In case of Gauss law of electrostatics, you know that for any surface S, if suppose this charge is present inside the surface, the net electric flux coming out of this surface, any arbitrary surface, is given by the net flux equals to the charge enclosed inside the surface. Now let's say if we have the volume charge, continuous volume charge given by rho v, if rho v is the charge density, these are the standard symbols. Then of course total charge enclosed will be given by the volume integration of the volume charge density. So we can replace by the integral form, and using this formula the surface integral is transformed into the volume integral. Here also the surface integral will be transformed into the volume integral. The volume integral of the divergence of the D vector. Comparing the LHS and RHS, we can write del dot D equals to rho v. And this is also called the Maxwell's first equation for an electric field. This also indicates that there will be a the divergence will be non-zero only if there is a presence of source, which is indicated by the charge density. Let's take an example. Verify divergence theorem for the function. This is the vector field over the unit cube. Let us take a consider unit cube here, whose origin is at point E. So we have to prove that LHS equals to RHS. Then first let us find the surface integral, the net flux passing through, coming out of the surface. All the 6 faces, let's start from ADCB. AD, this face, the unit normal will be in the x direction. So net flux and its area will be, if we consider a very small area here, the change in this direction will be dy and in the upward direction will be dz, and the direction of the normal is in the x direction. The same, if this is x, then this is y, this is z. Simply taking the dot product, ax to x, you will get the value of 1, because over this face the value of x is 1, and the dot product of ay with ax and with az and ax will be 0. The second case, the second phase, BCHG. BCHG, its outward normal will be in the y direction, and if you take the small area, it will be dz and dx. So it will be, the direction is ay, dx and dz. It will be 1 by 2. Ay will dot with ay only. In the third phase, for the ABGF, A, B, G and F for this case, and here you can see the value of z is equal to 1. The output normal is in the AZ direction, taking the dot AZ, and its differential area will be dx into dy. AZ taking the dot with AZ direction only, then the value of z will be 1, and simply on simple integration it will be 1 by 2. Next case, AFED. AFED. Now its outward normal will be in the minus ay direction, and here you can see the value of y is 0 because it is on the xz plane. Then this is, direction is minus ay direction, and the differential area is dx into dz. Ay dot with ay, simply minus 1 by 2. And last, the E1, the fifth one, FGHE. FGHE. Its direction is unit normal minus as direction, and here the value of x is 0 because this face lies in the yz plane. Then the dot of x with x will be 0 simply because the value of x in this plane is 0. The total answer will be simply 0, nothing else. And last, CDEH. CDEH. The direction of the normal will be minus az direction, and the differential area will be dx dy into dx. And at this plane, this is in the xy plane. So in the xy plane, the value of z is 0. That is why az taken dot with az, its value will be 0 overall. Combining all the faces, the flux through all the faces, we obtain an answer 3 by 2. We have obtained the LHS. Now let us find the RHS, the volume integral. For that we need to calculate the divergence. Now this is our vector f, its divergence will be 2x plus 5. So simply the volume will be dx dy dz. On performing simple integration, we can obtain the value as 3 by 2. And you can see the LHS, the surface integral equals to the volume integral, hence proved. So this was one example on the divergence theorem. We will continue our discussion in the next lecture. We will deal with the concept of curl and Stokes theorem. So thank you.